Hi, I'm Ben Province, and welcome to Show Me the Music. On today's show, I'll get to chat with Ryan Cheney. Now, you may know him from his work in the bands Fivefold and Steeples, but now he's going solo. Roughly half of Ryan Cheney's life has been spent as an active member of the St. Louis music scene. Through the years, he has amassed thousands of followers as the voice of alternative rock band Fivefold, whose initial breakup led to a stint in the pop group Steeples from 2017 to 2019. But like many lead singers in rock and roll history, Cheney felt he had something else to say outside of the bands he's fronted. This resulted in two solo releases in 2020, Shelter and The Lion. A year later, the singer-songwriter finds himself embarking on a new chapter in his music career. You announced some big news recently that you were quitting your job to pursue music full-time. What prompted that decision?
Well, before the pandemic hit, I decided I was gonna leave Steeples and that I wanted to pursue music solo. So I started a Kickstarter, and that Kickstarter raised like $2,600 in like a week. And then I was like, oh no, now I have to actually do it. So, I started setting up the plan to record the CD. I started recording it, had a lot of it recorded, and then the pandemic hit. So I was like, so I just kind of hit the ground running. I needed a way to make more money to fund the CD, so I started doing cover shows. So I've been doing them the entire time. Now the world's opening up again, and I had about 3-4 really awesome weekends of playing shows. And I'm at the end. I'm at the end of that. A weekend. I'm counting the money I made, and my wife's in bed. I'm on cloud nine. I went into the bedroom. I was like, babe, like, look, this is what I made in one weekend. Can I just pursue this? Can I just like try to do music full time? Because I think I can do it. And she gave me the green light.
So this has been maybe a year in the making for you to make this shift to music full-time, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, like, because in the beginning of COVID, all the venues and stuff, they still needed artists to play. You know what I mean? But and everyone was scared to play music. And in my idea, I was like, I'm a musician. I can be as far away from people as I need to be. And that was actually in my like clause. I'm like, hey, I'll play, but like you gotta all gotta stay away.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, the cover shows are a way of funding my dream. My dream, of course, is to put out music and just to sing and to, fill stadiums and just make this my full-time career. But it's like cover shows are like the day job. But that's still fine because it's music.
Yeah, and your 2020 was actually quite busy. You put out two releases. Let's start with Shelter. It's a stripped down acoustic album.
Yeah.
What led you to make an album as intimate as that after being in bands for so long?
We were actually on a double date with a couple of our friends and like longtime friends, that huge fans of Fivefold and Steeples, right? And my buddy looked at me. He's like, I didn't know you even played acoustic guitar. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that was where I started. Like, like I've been playing acoustic longer than I've been really professionally singing. So and so I was like, I wanted to pursue that, and I wanted that individualism. I started writing some songs that I thought were really awesome, and I didn't want them to be pop songs, So I realized that I felt my heart was calling me to do it, honestly, and in the most cheesy and non cliche way. My heart really just decided for me.
Call me out, but I'm coming down with a case of the blues. Can you see I'm down behind this smile that I wear around you? Oh, my reactions start to feel so.
I started to want people to actually hear the raw version of me. I didn't want to like not be able to say something or to say what I think about stuff. I wanted to speak freely and to write freely. And a part of the reason I wanted it to be super bare bones is because, in my opinion, I didn't even know. I thought that might be my only album. And I was also coming from a place that I didn't want to share any of that. Like I came out of bands and I wanted to kind of prove to myself that I can do this on my own. I don't need anyone's help. And more on that later. But but it literally did come from literally, I was like, I want my guitar front and center. I want my voice and my songwriting to speak for itself. I think the beautiful thing about Shelter, it was written during a lot of the songs, like especially Holding Hope, that those songs were written in the midst of the pandemic. And so I think the lack of other instruments and just kind of rawness and emptiness, it kind of just let the lyrics speak for themselves. But that's what led me to do that, and I think what led to The Lion was, I'd put out Shelter, and I was, I guess I proved to myself that I could do it then at that point. And then I realized that it's really, really, really hard to do it by yourself. You still need people. I don't know. I guess it was a quick evolution you can see between the two different pieces of work.
Yeah, I think when I first dug into these two releases, I was thinking to myself, this works. This makes a lot of sense because your voice is really suited for something with country influences. This is you. This isn't Ryan Cheney doing a country thing. This is totally you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's and the thing is, like with Jesse James, like I wrote that song, I don't know, like 8 years ago, maybe. I was in a bad relationship, and I love the idea of like an outlaw. Like an outlaw, we've all seen like the Western films where it's a good guy, but he's done some bad things. You know what I mean? He's like, he lost the love of his life. And then I watched Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber, and it's the same thing. It's like he lost the love of it, and it took him. In the end, all he really wanted was to be with the woman he lost years ago.
It works. Another song on The Lion, my personal favorite from your solo work, WLCD. I loved the Heartland rock vibe of it, but I also heard some pop punk drums, some just classic, timeless Ryan Cheney. Tell me about that song.
I wrote What Love Can Do around the same time I wrote Jesse James. I was getting really into this guy named Rustin Kelly. Now he's like huge and stuff. He's probably one of my biggest role models. But it's big hat, just kind of like outlaw rock, and so I was in a really bad relationship at the time, and that's the perspective I wrote it from. It's like it's like anti-love. Like, I've seen what love can do. And I'm usually so like love, I feel like I've been a part of some really great love songs. So it was really fun to explore the anti-love. Just like, no, like love is terrible. Matt Benny, my buddy in Fivefold, and one of my best friends and brothers. I don't know drum lingo, but he started doing this drum thing, and I was like, yeah. And Derek was there, Derek in Fivefold, and he's like, I don't hear it. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, it sounds like super punk rock. And we're like, yeah, it's gonna be dope. And it just kind of blended the two genres really well. Like the entire time. Like, I think that What Love Can Do is probably one of my favorite songs I've written.
Speaking of Matt Benny, let's talk a little bit about Fivefold. What's going on with the band? Dear Insecurity came out as a single last year, kind of as a nice reunion surprise.
Yeah.
And recently I've noticed these really, really cool press photos on the Fivefold page. So yeah. What's happening there?
So, I mean, now Benny's got his own studio, and so it's like the dream come true whenever like your kid's thinking about like, oh, we're all gonna live in the same house. It's like I live 2 minutes from Matt, and I have my own recording gear too, not as much as him, but literally, I mean, I can get on my bicycle and it's a 3-minute ride down to his house. So, and there's a huge part of Fivefold right there. You know what I mean? Like song ideas, knock them out. We're both songwriters, so it's harder than it was before. But we realized, we're like, let's just put out an album. Like what's it? It wouldn't hurt anything. We have everything to gain and nothing to lose. In getting into the pandemic, we were just like, Fivefold gave people hope at a time when the world is much brighter. like we still like we get on our Facebook and we have messages from people just saying how our music like has shaped their lives in a positive way. And it's like, and we just decided we're like, let's keep doing it. Times are weird. People need that message of hope. So, and it doesn't take, we have all this recording gear. Everyone's got a way to send their idea through. So it's not like we all have to practice like 7 times, a month and 10-hour practices each. We can't afford that. We all have lives now. We all have, other obligations that, we're not like kids anymore. So, but it's way different and it's changed, but so we're going to be coming out with an album.
Wow.
And we're already working on it. It's weird for all of us. We've all changed so much, our experiences, the way we write, what we write about. I've realized I'm way more like aggressive than I used to be. Used to be I was all like about love and hope and everything, but now I'm a little more aggro. And I think it's because my message of hope and everything, I get that out in my solo song. So it's like, let's write some heavy stuff, let's get a few more screams in there and write some metal, so a lot of these songs are going to be way heavier. But yeah, that's why my voice sounds like this today, because we had practiced last night.
Oh, wow. One thing I've noticed about you is it seems like you feel like you have this responsibility as an artist to send out some positivity to fans. And is that something that you make a conscious decision to do?
100%. So, I mean, backstory to me, like I was born with Tourette syndrome, and life was really, really hard for me when I was younger. There was a lot of unacceptance. No one knew what I had. I didn't know what I had. I was just making a lot of weird sounds, and no one really, it's really hard to fit in. I was really quiet and stuff. And whenever I found out I had Tourette's, I was like, all right, cool. So this is something that's about me. And then I picked up a guitar and started writing. So I think that whenever I learned to write, it was the first thing I was really good at. And I realized that, yeah, I can write a song that is catchy and people can sing, but I could put a positive, I could literally change someone's life and say something from my very, very, that's why the early Fivefold songs are so dark and a little depressing. It's because like, I'm just writing about my experiences, and so I realized that I was able to take those pretty bad memories and put them in a song, and then someone else could just take all the lessons I learned and just like in 3 minutes of the song be in a better place than they were. So I do feel it's my responsibility. I'd say if there's one goal I want in my life, it's like, in a way, a song makes you immortal. It makes you, if you can write a great song, then, that message never dies. So I'm trying to write as many great songs as I can, because I literally want to just change the world and make people happier than they were before they heard the song. So
yeah, well, I really appreciate your attitude and your vision. We were talking before cameras rolled, that I first met you like 7 years ago, and your attitude and your humility has always remained intact, even though you're one of the biggest rock singers in St. Louis.
Nah.
Man, I don't know. You've played some pretty big shows, but I want to thank you so much for being on the show, Ryan.
Dude,
it's always
thanks
good
for
to chat
having
with
me,
you.
man. This is exciting. I've been looking forward to this all day.
For all things Ryan Cheney, merchandise, concert calendar, and other updates, visit RyanCheneyOfficial.com. His 2 releases, Shelter and The Lion, are available now. Well, that'll do it for today's show. I want to give a big thank you to my guest, Ryan Cheney. And on behalf of the entire crew, my name is Ben Province, and I'm asking you to show me the music.